It started with a knock. Not loud, not urgent, just soft. Barely past midnight, and I was 2 hours into a video game I wasn't even enjoying. The knock pulled me out of a half-asleep haze, and for a second, I thought I imagined it. Then it came again. I muted the TV, got up, and checked the peephole. And just like that, my heart stopped. Ryan. He was standing there in a hoodie, one hand jammed into his pocket, the other clutching a plastic bag. His face looked tired, a little pale under the porch light. But it was definitely him. I hadn't seen Ryan in 6 months. Not since he moved out. Not since we decided, very calmly, very maturely, that being roommates and friends was better than pretending we could be more. But here he was, looking at my door like he was still trying to convince himself to knock a third time. I opened it. He blinked. Hey. Hey, I said, voice dry. Didn't expect. Yeah, he cut in, looking down. Sorry, I just didn't know where else to go. I stepped back without thinking. Come in. He hesitated, then stepped past me like the air itself had weight. Same cologne. Same posture. Same Ryan. He dropped the bag on the floor. I saw a 6-pack and a half-eaten pack of sour gummies. Classic. I stood there, arms crossed. You okay? He didn't answer right away. Just looked around the living room like it hadn't changed. Like the couch still had the same dent from where he used to fall asleep during movie nights. Finally, he said, I didn't know where else to go. Everyone else feels like too much. You could have called. I didn't know if you'd pick up. I didn't say anything to that, mostly because he was right. He rubbed the back of his neck, avoiding my eyes. Can I stay for a bit? Just tonight. I nodded, even though my stomach was twisting. We sat on the couch, both of us leaning forward like we were trying not to lean toward each other. He opened a beer, offered me one, and I shook my head. Rough night? I asked eventually. He shrugged. Got into it with my dad. I raised an eyebrow. Again? Yeah, he found out I've been seeing someone. I froze. Oh, he didn't handle it well, Ryan said, voice flat. Said I'm too smart to be this confused. I hated how that still stung, even when it wasn't about me. Sorry, I said. He shrugged again, like he'd run out of energy to care. I could feel the air between us shifting, thick with everything we weren't saying. You want the bed? I asked. I'll take the couch. He looked at me then. Really looked. Can we just sit? A little longer? I nodded, and we sat. No music, no talking, just the sound of the fridge humming and the soft fizz of his beer. At some point, his knee touched mine. Neither of us moved. We stayed like that for a while, sitting close but pretending the contact didn't mean anything. My knee touched his, then shifted slightly, but I didn't move it away. Neither did he. It was like gravity had picked sides and decided we were better near each other. Is it serious? I asked after a while, not sure why I said it. The question was out before I could take it back. Ryan glanced at me. What? You said your dad found out you're seeing someone. Is it serious? He paused. Then, no, not really, just some guy. We've been on a few dates. Oh, he looked at me like he was trying to read something in my face. Why? No reason, I lied. A beat passed. Why'd you really ask? He said, voice quiet. I stared ahead. I guess I didn't want to know you'd moved on completely. That made him shift slightly. His voice was soft, but I could hear the tension in it. Have you? I didn't answer right away, because the truth was, I hadn't. I'd tried. I'd gone on a few dates, swiped around on apps, smiled at strangers in bars, but none of it felt right. None of it felt like him. No, I said finally, I haven't. Another pause. Ryan set his beer down on the coffee table. I miss this. This? He nodded. Us. Being around you. It's like I breathe easier. My throat tightened. I told myself we'd be better off not being in each other's space, he continued. but being apart didn't make things simpler. It just made me lonelier. I couldn't look at him. "You ever feel like we gave up too soon?" he asked. I swallowed hard. "Sometimes." He leaned back, sighing. "I shouldn't have left. I told you it was okay." "Yeah, but you didn't mean it." That caught me off guard. I turned to him, really looking at his face for the first time since he walked in. His eyes weren't just tired. They were searching. "I thought you needed space," I said. "I did. But I also needed you. I just didn't know how to ask for both. I didn't know what to say. My chest felt like it was full of wet concrete." He looked at me again, this time with something softer in his eyes. "I'm not asking for anything tonight. I didn't want to be alone." "You're not," I said quietly. He gave me a look then, this small, almost shy smile. "Can I still stay?" I nodded. "Yeah. I'll take the couch." "No," I said, standing. "You're not sleeping out here. Come on." He followed me into the bedroom without a word. I handed him a t-shirt and a pair of old shorts. "You still like oversized stuff?" "Always," he said, flashing a smile that made my stomach flip. I changed in the bathroom. When I came back, he was already in bed, on his side, facing the wall. Respectful, distant. But when I slid in on my side, the silence between us buzzed. He didn't say anything. Neither did I. But about 10 minutes later, I felt the mattress shift. Slowly, he rolled over. "You awake?" he whispered. "Yeah." A pause. "I missed you," he said. "I missed you too." And then his hand found mine under the blanket. Just a brush. A test. I didn't pull away. I don't know how long we lay like that. Fingers barely touching under the blanket, neither of us saying another word. I could hear his breathing, a little uneven, like he was wide awake too. Then, slowly, he shifted closer. Not dramatically, not all at once, just enough, so I could feel the warmth of him at my back, the heat radiating between us. His knee brushed mine. His foot found the edge of mine. Still, he didn't push. Then I heard it, his voice, barely a whisper. "Is this okay?" It was the same question he'd asked before. This time, I didn't hesitate. "Yeah, it's okay." A moment later, his hand slipped fully into mine, gentle but firm, like he'd been holding in the need for contact for months. My heart pounded in a way that made my chest feel too small. "I don't know what this is," he said quietly, like he was confessing to the dark. "I don't either," I replied. He was quiet for a long time after that. Then, finally, "I think I made a mistake." I turned slightly, just enough to look at him over my shoulder. His face was half in shadow, his expression unreadable, but he looked serious, tired, like this had been sitting in him for a while. "You mean moving out?" He nodded. "Yeah, that, and pretending we were better off apart." "You really believe that?" I didn't. Not really. I think I was scared it wasn't going to work out, and if I stayed, I'd ruin it. "We already ruined it," I said, not unkindly. He let out a breath. "Maybe. But not forever." I didn't know what to say to that. My chest was tight in that annoying, emotional way that makes your eyes sting. "I still think about that night," he said suddenly. I knew which one he meant, the one before everything cracked. It had started with drinks on the balcony, ended with me pressed up against the kitchen counter, his mouth on mine like it was the only thing holding him together. That night had been messy, intense, a little too much, a little too fast, but it was real. "You ghosted me for a full day after that," I reminded him. "I was freaking out," he said, "not because of you, because I felt more than I was ready to admit." I turned all the way toward him, our faces now inches apart in the dark. "So what now?" He didn't answer right away. But then, slowly, carefully, he leaned in. Not fast, not urgent, just close enough that I could feel his breath against my cheek. "You tell me," he whispered. I didn't move, not because I didn't want to, but because part of me was terrified that if we did this again, if we went there, it would break something we couldn't fix. So I said, Let's just stay like this. And he nodded, forehead gently resting against mine. Okay, he said. This is enough. And it was. For now. I don't think I really slept. Maybe I drifted in and out a bit, but mostly I just lay there, aware of every place our bodies were almost touching. His hand in mine, his forehead brushing mine, the slow, steady rhythm of his breathing. Sometime in the early hours, he shifted closer, not dramatically, just enough that our legs tangled a little. His arm looped over my waist in a way that felt cautious, like he was afraid I'd flinch. I didn't. And after a few minutes, I felt his grip tighten ever so slightly, like his body made the choice before his brain could second-guess it. I stayed still, pretending to be asleep. I didn't know why. Maybe I didn't want to risk whatever this was by speaking too soon. Maybe I just wanted to feel it without analyzing it. When the morning light started creeping in through the blinds, I finally let myself move. His eyes were still closed, his face relaxed in a way I hadn't seen in months. Without thinking, I reached up and brushed a bit of hair off his forehead. That made him stir. His eyes blinked open slowly, and for a second, he just looked at me like he wasn't sure if this was real. "Morning," I said, voice still scratchy. He exhaled through his nose. "Hey." We stayed like that, just looking at each other in the soft light. Everything between us still quiet, unresolved, but less uncertain somehow. "Did you sleep?" I asked. "Better than I have in a while," he said. Then, after a pause, "You?" "Sort of." A faint smile crossed his lips. "Did I steal all the blanket again?" "Only half of it," I said. "Progress." He laughed, and the sound was quieter than usual, more genuine. Then came the silence. The kind that sits between two people who know there's more to say, but aren't sure how to say it. Ryan was the one who broke it. "I don't know what I'm doing," he said, "but I know I didn't just show up here to crash." I didn't move, just listened. "I thought if I stayed away long enough I'd get over it," he went on. "That you'd move on. That I'd stop wondering what it would have been like if we hadn't screwed it all up." "And did you?" I asked quietly. "No," he said. "Not even close." I rolled onto my back, staring at the ceiling. "You can't just walk back in and expect it to be easy." "I don't expect that," he said. I had to see if something was still here." I turned my head, met his eyes again. "And?" He shrugged slightly. "It feels like it is, but I don't want to push you." That's the thing about Ryan. He always knew how to stop, just short of asking for what he really wanted. Like he was too afraid the answer might be no. "I don't know either," I said, being honest. But I didn't let go of his hand. He noticed. Squeezed gently. "Can I stay tonight too?" he asked, softer this time. I nodded. "Yeah," I said, "you can stay." Ryan didn't leave that day. He stayed. We didn't make a big deal about it. We didn't talk much about what it meant. He just followed me into the kitchen when I went to make coffee, grabbed 2 mugs like it was something he used to do, and honestly, it was. He remembered where I kept the sugar, the exact way I liked my toast. And I remembered how he used to hum under his breath while waiting for the kettle, that little habit I used to tease him about. It was back, and it made the apartment feel full again. He lingered. I had work to do, so I opened my laptop at the kitchen table while he sprawled out on the couch with his phone. Occasionally, he'd read something out loud or toss me a dumb meme. It felt easy, familiar, but underneath it all, I could feel the weight of what wasn't being said. That night, when I went to brush my teeth, I noticed he'd set his phone on the nightstand beside mine. His hoodie was on the back of the chair. His socks were tucked beside the bed, little signs that he wasn't just visiting anymore. When I walked back into the bedroom, he was already lying there, on his side, facing me. "You sure about this?" I asked, standing near the foot of the bed. He looked at me for a long second. Then he said, "No," I blinked. "But I'm sure about you," he added. "I don't know what the rest of it means yet," But I know that waking up next to you this morning felt right. I didn't know what to say to that. So I just climbed into bed beside him. This time, we didn't keep space between us. He reached for me under the blanket, and I let him pull me close. Our legs tangled, arms wrapped loosely around each other like we'd done this before, like it was muscle memory. I could feel the warmth of his breath against my neck, the steady beat of his heart through his chest, and the way his fingers played absent-mindedly with the fabric of my shirt. We didn't kiss. We didn't need to. But at some point, he whispered into the dark, "I used to think I wasn't the guy you deserved." That hit harder than I expected. "You were always the guy the first wanted," I said. His arms tightened around me. "I want to do it right this time," he murmured. "No games, no disappearing." "Then stay," I said. "Just stay." "I'm trying," he whispered. "I'm really trying." And I believed him. For the first time in a long time, I believed him. A few days passed like that. He stayed. I didn't ask how long for. He didn't offer a timeline. There was just an unspoken agreement that this, whatever we were building again, was something neither of us wanted to interrupt. He helped around the apartment, folded laundry without being asked, cooked dinner one night and apologized for burning the chicken. I pretended not to notice that he left his toothbrush on the bathroom counter like it belonged there. It felt like we were pretending not to fall into old habits. But every night, when we lay down in bed and the room got quiet, the space between us didn't last long. He always reached for me, and I always let him. Then, one night, it shifted. It started the same way. A brush of hands, a tangle of legs, but this time, when I turned toward him in the dark, he was already looking at me. Really looking. His hand came up, slowly, hesitantly, and he let his fingers trace my jaw. "You've changed," he said quietly. "So have you." He nodded, eyes searching mine. "You're more sure of yourself now." "I had to be," I said. "You weren't around." That made something flicker in his eyes. Regret, maybe, but not the kind that turns away. The kind that tries to make amends. He leaned in slowly, and this time I didn't hesitate. His lips met mine. Soft, careful, like we were testing something fragile. But then I kissed him back, and it changed. His hand slid into my hair, mine around his waist. We didn't rush it. There was no pressure. Just a slow, familiar rhythm that felt like breathing, like memory and discovery all at once. When we pulled apart, our foreheads rested together. "I've wanted to do that since the first night I came back," he whispered. "Why didn't you?" "I didn't know if I still had a place here." I looked at him, eyes steady. "You never really left." He swallowed hard. "Can I stay?" "You're already here," I said. He kissed me again, and this time we didn't stop. A few days passed like that. He stayed. I didn't ask how long for. He didn't offer a timeline. There was just an unspoken agreement that this, whatever we were building again, was something neither of us wanted to interrupt. He helped around the apartment, folded laundry without being asked, cooked dinner one night, and apologized for burning the chicken. I pretended not to notice that he left his toothbrush on the bathroom counter like it belonged there. It felt like we were pretending not to fall into old habits. But every night, when we lay down in bed and the room got quiet, the space between us didn't last long. He always reached for me, and I always let him. Then, one night, it shifted. It started the same way, a brush of hands, a tangle of legs, but this time, when I turned toward him in the dark, he was already looking at me. Really looking. His hand came up, slowly, hesitantly, and he let his fingers trace my jaw. "You've changed," he said quietly. "So have you." He nodded, eyes searching mine. "You're more sure of yourself now." "I had to be," I said. "You weren't around." That made something flicker in his eyes. Regret, maybe, but not the kind that turns away, the kind that tries to make amends. He leaned in slowly, and this time I didn't hesitate. His lips met mine, soft, careful, like we were testing something fragile. But then I kissed him back, and it changed. His hand slid into my hair, mine around his waist. We didn't rush it. There was no pressure, just a slow, familiar rhythm that felt like breathing, like memory and discovery all at once. When we pulled apart, our foreheads rested together. "I've wanted to do that since the first night I came back," he whispered. "Why didn't you?" "I didn't know if I still had a place here." I looked at him, eyes steady. "You never really left." He swallowed hard. "Can I stay?" "You're already here," I said. He kissed me again. And this time, we didn't stop. That night changed something. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't the kind of thing you see in movies with rain on windows and piano music swelling in the background. It was quiet, real. The way he held me afterward, his fingers tracing the inside of my wrist like it grounded him. The way our breaths fell into sync as the room fell silent. The way he looked at me like he was seeing the whole of me, not just the version I'd let him see before. He didn't pull away. I didn't either. We didn't talk about what it meant. Not right away. But something had settled between us, solid and unmistakable. He stayed the next morning, and the one after that. He cooked breakfast the second day, burned the toast, forgot the salt in the eggs, but he made 2 cups of coffee exactly the way I liked it. He left my mug on the windowsill beside my laptop, like it had always been his job to know where it belonged. He stayed through the week. At some point, I stopped checking to see if he was going to leave. It just felt like he lived there again. But things were different now. We were different. We talked more about real things. His job situation, his family, the way he was still figuring himself out after moving out, and then realizing he didn't want to be gone. He apologized without making it dramatic. "I was scared," he told me one night, "that I'd never figure it out, that I'd hurt you more by staying than leaving." "You hurt me by leaving," I said. "I know. But you're here now." He nodded. "I'm here." And he meant it. That night, we fell asleep with the window open, the breeze carrying the sounds of the city up into the room. He was behind me, arm looped loosely around my waist, his nose tucked against the back of my neck like it belonged there. I remember thinking, I could get used to this. I already had. But there was one more moment, one more shift. A week later, I came home late from work, exhausted, brain fried. I walked in and saw him sitting on the floor in the hallway, back against the wall, scrolling his phone in the soft light from the living room. He looked up when I walked in, and he smiled. Not a big one, just a small, tired, easy smile, the kind you only give someone you're completely comfortable around. "Hey," he said. "Hey," I replied, dropping my bag. He stood, walked toward me, and without saying a word, wrapped his arms around me. That was it. No kiss, no drama, just arms around shoulders, warmth on skin, silence between 2 people who didn't need to fill the space with words. Then, as we stood there, he said it. "I love you," just like that. Simple, honest. No buildup. I didn't panic. I didn't second guess. I didn't need to think. I just said I love you too, because I did, because I always had. He stayed. Not for a night, not for a week. He stayed for good. We didn't rush labels or change our relationship status online. We didn't post selfies or write long captions about healing or reunion. We just lived. We figured things out slowly. What days he needed space, what nights I wanted to talk. We navigated mornings when one of us was grumpy and evenings when the dishes piled up. We learned how to make it work, how to choose each other over and over. And every time we slipped into bed, tangled legs, shared blanket, familiar weight of his arm across me, I knew this was it. Not perfect, but real. The kind of love you build, not stumble into. The kind that stays,